Beatrice. The news is also live on Kesmi 107.1 FM and across the world on ShreNews.com. On Facebook, we're streaming live on Shre FM 927. Coming up in the next 1.5 hours. We will be ruthless and stop at nothing in ensuring peace. Tonight, a strong word of caution from the police as they vow to pursue any person who foments trouble in the December 7 elections, promising to guarantee a violent-free process nationwide.
We will engage where we want to engage. We will de-escalate where we want to de-escalate. And when we have to be ruthless in the enforcement of the law, within the context of rule of law, we will stop at nothing.
Also coming up on the program, we will bring you all the fresh details as leadership of the Institute of Democratic Governance and other civil society organizations hold crunch meeting with the police management on election preparations. Also tonight, main opposition NDC to petition the RGP and the Chief of Defence Staff to investigate alleged plot by the MPP to rig the December 7 election through Central Commanding Officer Brigadier Michael Opoku. Much later on the program, Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, raises concerns about incumbency abuse in the lead-up to the December 7 general election. We have the details from CODEO's second pre-election statement. All of these stories plus business and sports all coming up in the next 1.5 hours. But for now, Grace Hammoah is here with a summary of the news. Grace.
Beatrice, let's get right into it now. Renowned lawyer Chachu Chikata says the Supreme Court's judgment on the 4 MP saga was inconclusive and inconsistent. The comment comes as the NPP majority in Parliament expresses joy over the judgment, asking the Speaker to, as it were, reinstate the 4 MPs he said were ineligible to be in Parliament. The Speaker, Alban Bagwe, made a statement after the said MPs filed to contest as independent and on the ticket of a political party. He argued that they crossed carpet. Expressing his views on agenda on TV3, Mr. Chikata highlighted inconsistencies in the judgment compared to previous decisions. But a legal expert with the governing NPP and former First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Freddie Blaze, says the court's judgment is practical. Away from that, the Ghana Education Trust Fund, Get Fund, has denied claims that it has abandoned projects started by the erstwhile National Democratic Congress NDC. To this end, the Secretariat says it has completed some 3,700 projects across the various levels of education since 2017. Speaking to journalists on the sidelines of the 2024 National Education Week, the head of PR at Get Fund, Isaac Esiedu Odai, said the claims by the NDC cannot be true. Flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has promised the people of Menchia South of fixing the Krofro market. Addressing party faithfuls at the Bawumia Connect, Dr. Bawumia appealed to the people to hand over the development of the country to him. MP for Menchia South, lawyer Naneje Bafuewa, promised to ensure that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia attains 90% votes from the constituency. And after over 8 months of court hearings on the suit against the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, the Supreme Court has set December 18th to deliver a judgment on the case. The Apex Court heard suits of both plaintiffs, broadcast journalist and lawyer Richard Delaskai and researcher Dr. Amanda Odoy on Tuesday. When the case of Delaskai was called, his counsel, led by Pakwesi Abedu, sought leave from the court to amend a portion of his initial case. The 7-member panel of justices chaired by Avery Lovelace Johnson adjourned the case to December 18 after directing both the Attorney General and the lawyers of the Speaker of Parliament to file their responses to the amendment statement of case. That's it for the news summaries, Beatrice.
Thank you very much, Grace Hammoah Agyemang. And let's get into the details of our stories for you tonight. Election Command Center, let's start apart from this, the police have vowed to crack down on election offenders and all persons who cause mayhem in the December 2 and 7 general elections. Now, with high-level security measures instituted, the Election Security Task Force says that it will be ruthless in ensuring public order and rule of law. Addressing a delegation from the Institute of Democratic Governance, the Civil Forum Initiative, and other organizations, the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufo-Dampare, said that the security institution has put in plans for a peaceful election.
To be assured. Now, going into this election, you have also seen that the implementation of that blueprint has brought us to a level. This time round, the component you are implementing is the electioneering campaigning component. So you will see that throughout the electioneering campaign, now that you have only 2 weeks into the whole process in terms of the end of the campaign, you yourself as Ghanaians, as media officers and civil society, you are attest to the fact that the whole electioneering campaign has also been very peaceful because of the security arrangement put in place, because of the way the political parties and their leaders have comported themselves, because of the way Ghanaians, because of our love for our country, have comported ourselves. So the credit goes to all of us. And it is our prayer that from now till the end of the campaigning period, and also during the D-Day and the post-election period, we maintain the same momentum or even improve upon it, so that at the end of the day, the elections will pass in a manner, in terms of peace and security, that has never happened in this country. We, from where we sit as security agencies, we are convinced that is what is going to happen. The elections, in terms of peace and security, we will work together with you to make it as easy, as simple as it is. So rest assured.
And here is the caution. The IGP says the police will de-escalate when necessary and stop at nothing in enforcing order. Take a listen.
Sure. We will engage where we want to engage. We will de-escalate where we want to de-escalate. But when we have to be ruthless in the enforcement of the law, within the context of rule of law, we will stop at nothing. And I repeat, we will engage when we have to engage. We will de-escalate when we want to de-escalate, and that is the best option. But we will enforce the law to the letter when we have to do that, because if that becomes the only option. So Ghanaians should be with us, bear with us, have our back, and for us to confront anybody who wants to take the peace of this country for granted. So be assured. So hoping and being convinced that the campaigning period will also end peacefully, we are now focusing on the D-Day and the post-D-Day activities. With the D-Day, using the same blueprint, the work we've done so far has led to the production of 5,400 page security deployment plan, covering every aspect of security for the elections, inside out. And that's how far we've come. And that nature is also first of its kind in our dispensation, where we have such a comprehensive 5,400 and over page document, making sure that the security of
And you had that, the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufo-Dampare. Christian Yale is our man following this meeting for us. He joins us live on the line. Chris, can you tell us what else the IGP said? And indeed, the significance of this election blueprint, if you can tell us more about that as well.
Exactly, Beatrice. So what we know is that, according to the IGP, in the past 2 years, the police administration, together with the various stakeholders who matter when it comes to the electioneering process, have been working on this document, which they call the blueprint, that is going to help to mainstream election security. He says, for instance, that since they worked on this blueprint, they have been able to conduct free and fair, as well as violence-free by-elections internal party elections, and even elections within religious bodies. And so he is very highly optimistic that this same blueprint going into the future, and actually he even mentioned the fact that the police is targeting the next 30 years of democratic processes in the country. So in the next 30 years, this blueprint or document is going to ensure that, year after year or administration after administration, the security task force would be able to conduct their business seamlessly to ensure that the polls are very violence free. And so that is the assurance that he has given. And he talks about the fact that the EC, together with the Election Security Task Force, are working on securing the coalition centers. So what he mentions, for instance, is that when you go to a lot of these coalition centers, they are going to fence them. And when they fence them, it means that only mandatory required persons are going to be allowed entry into those places to ensure that no other person like ordinary civilians would be barging in and out, and especially when one party is not happy with the outcome, they can just marshal their supporters to enter such places and cause any form of mayhem. This is just in line with what has been going on, or what has been done previously with the Presidential Coalition at the Electoral Commission's headquarters, where it is highly restricted to access. And so when you are not to be there, so for instance, he mentions that the likes of political parties and their agents, as well as the media and security forces and the EC officials, are the ones who would be in these specialized coalition centers that are going to be fenced, so that it curtails the unnecessary entry of all other civilians. He also mentioned the fact that, and as you mentioned, he says that, for instance, if there is going to be any form of panic, if there is going to be any form of threat to security, then the police will not stop at anything to, more or less ensure that there is a rule of law and there is public order and safety.
Now, Christian Yale, beyond what the IGP said, I mean, he met with CSOs. Are you able to give us, did you get any word, actually, from any of the CSOs that was at this meeting?
Exactly. So we know that the Institute for Democratic Governance and IDEG is here. But, when it comes to election especially, they have a joint stakeholder forum that comes with other CSOs that they collectively call themselves the Civic Forum Initiative, which is headed by Reverend Degbe. They are all here, and according to them, this is very timely, and looking at the fact that this election has been touted as one of the most crucial that we have had in Ghana's electoral history, and especially in the Fourth Republic since we adopted this Republican rule or democratic rule. They believe that this engagement, and even as we speak, the police administration is having a closed-door engagement with the civil society organizations and the leaders who came to discuss at length some of the modalities and the provisions that are enshrined in this blueprint that I spoke about, to also discuss how these CSOs would matter, or how they come in when it comes to the coverage and the conduct of the election. And so that closed-door meeting is ongoing. And before they even have that, we heard from IDEG and the Civic Forum Initiative. We are very pleased and believe this is a step in the right direction. Beatrice.
Thank you very much. And that was Christian Yale, who monitored that meeting between the IGP, of course, he had in the security agencies, and CSOs ahead of this year's general election. Richard Kumado is a security consultant. He joins us live on the phone as well. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
I know you've got high expectations for this year's general election, your expectations of the Electoral Commission, security agencies that we were just talking about, even electorates, those who are going to vote. But let me first get your thought on really the launch, as it were, of this election blueprint and the meeting with the CSOs ahead of the general election.
It's a good one. It is timely, considering the fact that the police are the head of the election task force. They will want to rally everybody involved. And if you remember recently, some of the CSOs have an issue with the Electoral Commissioner by declining them what they have done over the years, that is a field monitoring of election activities on D-Day. So I was glad to hear from some of them and the effectiveness of the meeting so far. It's a right thing in the right place at the right time, and we give them kudos.
You give them kudos. What would you expect the CSOs who are part of this meeting, for instance, to be doing to ensure that they are helping the police administration, especially, to, help us conduct a very good election?
disinformation has become one of the key weapons of warfare that destroys elections and scatters democracies all over the world. And to the extent that they have this professional blueprint, I hope that communications between the stakeholders will be effective. I hope clarity has been provided, and I hope they will have enough opportunity of providing accurate information on whatever they see, whatever they hear on the field. And they will also liaise with the constituencies they will be visiting to ensure that they have access to visit all the places they will want to visit, and they will have access to information, and they should repeat or report to the same, working collaboratively with the media as we have done over the years. I think they should be able to help the police in that regard. Until then, they will also have their men on the ground who have been properly trained and have been part of these meetings to be able to put up a professional behavior. And if they are able to do that, then we know that the police will have a helping hand on the field.
Before we actually started this conversation, I talked about the fact that you have very high expectations of stakeholders in this election, and in an article you talked about the Electoral Commission and the need to discharge, as in the commissioners and all those who are going to be on duty, the need for them to discharge their duties properly. Also talked about political parties, and you've just mentioned a bit of that, as well as electorate. You've mentioned, or you've gone in detail as regards what you expect the media to do. Are you able to tell us more about the other stakeholders and how you expect them to help ensure that we do a good job?
One of the things we are concerned about, or we have raised concerns, is what we call voter displacement this year. If you remember the limited registration exercise, many people who use the online platform, *711, *51# have been given police stations that they got there and their names were not there. If we have voter displacement in the early hours of the day, then you are sure that they could be directed to their police stations to vote. But if they should be in the lineup to about 3 to 5 and they can't find their names, then there will be high levels of agitation, nervousness, and anxiousness, thinking that somebody wants to disenfranchise them. And I'm praying and hoping that electoral commissions and their machines and their machinery and their systems on the day will not throw us out of some of these difficulties. Other than that, the police will have a hard time, even though their presence will be felt. Then all of us going to vote. On that day, there's nothing like NDC and MPP. We would need public education, and we would need to be informed as to what to do and how to do it. With that level of education, voters will behave themselves. And when the back is against the wall, we need to call the police. I'm happy with your reporter when he spoke about coalition centers. It's one of the things that has been thwarted as one of the weakest points in our elections. Some of the coalition centers are poorly managed, and the security architecture and the physical structure of those coalition centers are nothing good to be mentioned about. And I'm happy the police have taken notice, and they want to ensure that they have coordinated the coalition centers, providing law and order and making sure that law and order has been maintained. Until that is done, we are likely to have challenges on the field. But then again, that is why they are leaders in their respective capacities. Leadership, responsibility, decision-making, and making sure they resolve whatever might have happened as a sense of emergency is what makes them champions. And I hope that they will deliver on the day.
I hope that they will deliver on the day. And you just had Richard Kumado. He's a security consultant, giving us his thoughts on that meeting between the Inspector General of Police and some CSOs ahead of this year's general election. And speaking of the police administration, the opposition NDC says that it will petition the Inspector General of Police and the Chief of Defence Staff to investigate alleged plots by the NPP to rig the December elections through Central Commanding Officer Brigadier Michael Opoku. At a news conference this afternoon, the party said that its intelligence had uncovered actionable plans to cause chaos during the general election. The NDC says that Brigadier General Michael Opoku's promotion from the rank of colonel, despite masterminding the Ayawaso West Wogan by-election violence, is evidence of what the party intends to do come December 7. Listen to the communications officer for the opposition NDC, Sami Jamfi, speak earlier.
In his current position, Brigadier General Opoku has been mandated by President Akufo-Addo to take charge of a well-crafted scheme that has been designed by the NPP to rig the upcoming elections, particularly in the Ashanti region. Through ballot stuffing, swapping of ballot boxes, swapping of pink sheets, and other clandestine activities, starting with a special voting exercise scheduled for December 2nd of this year. Having relocated his family to the United Kingdom, Brigadier General Opoku has vowed to do all it takes to carry out his shady election rigging plots in exchange for the position of Chief of Defense Staff in the unlikely event that the NPP wins the 2024 elections. So for him, it's personal. And those who know him will tell you that he openly brags that on December 7th and December 2nd, they will kill NPP supporters like flies. NDC supporters like flies. Ladies and gentlemen, the NDC has received reliable intel to the effect that Brigadier General Opoku is responsible for the training of NPP thugs at Asuchuari military camp and other places. And he plans to clothe these bandits in military apparel to unleash violence on NDC agents, supporters, and innocent civilians on 7th December 2024 and 2nd December 2024, the special voting day.
And you heard Sami Jamfi there. He's a communications officer for the opposition NDC. Well, for the party, Brigadier General Michael Opoku must be removed from office.
The IGP and the Election Security Task Force must get to the bottom of this election rigging plot and stop Brigadier General Opoku and his thugs from embarking on another Techiman-styled killings. The IGP owes a duty to the people of Ghana to be fair and fair-minded to ensure peace during and after the December 7th elections. In this regard, we in the NDC assure him of our fullest cooperation. We also call on the Chief of Defense Staff to institute investigations into these important issues and bring Brigadier General Opoku to book. We are aware that as we speak, he is sabotaging him because he has the backing of Akufo-Addo, and so he doesn't respect upon paper. He has been promised that help us maim, intimidate, harass, kill people so that the NPP can rig the election. And when we win, you'll be made CDS. And so he doesn't even give a hoot about the CDS. But the CDS owes a duty to Ghana and the oath he has sworn to put his foot down and ensure that this guy is called to order.
And you had the communications officer for the opposition National Democratic Congress. The party says it will petition the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II, among other persons, for investigations to be conducted, and will be speaking to the governing New Patriotic Party very shortly to get a response from the party. But ahead of that, we stay on election-related matters because the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, is reporting instances of incumbency abuse by the governing New Patriotic Party in the lead up to the December 7, 2024 general election. The findings contained in CODEO's second pre-election statement issued today indicated that 11% of observer submissions proved that the misuse or said or raised concerns about the misuse of public resources by incumbent candidates or government appointees for campaign purposes. Such practices, it said, could undermine the principles of fairness and transparency in Ghana's democratic process. CODEO called on election stakeholders to intensify civic and voter education, stop vote buying, abuse of incumbency.
We are looking forward to have Honorable Kwachiaka fully coming on board by also going on the ground to campaign, one, for the president, and two, for the party's candidate in that constituency. The mere fact that one has written a letter, even the fact that the Electoral Commission have gone ahead to print ballot papers for that constituency before his withdrawal, also means that he must go and campaign against his image on that pool, the notice of pool that is being prepared by Electoral Commission, so that we cannot lose votes when he himself have withdrawn from the race. And so we are looking forward to have him fully come on board and also campaigning on the ground, committed to the cause, being part of the team, and making sure that he undo whatever wrong or whatever adverse, advantages he would have caused on the ground for us. But I think that we commend him, and we're happy about it.
Let's talk about the election itself. Today, the Inspector General of Police met some CSOs, indicating that indeed the police administration is prepared to handle this election, and even vowed that anybody who tries to foment trouble will be dealt with. As a party that is looking forward to this election that much, I mean, what do you make of that move from the Inspector General of Police, 18 days to the general election? What kind of assurance does it give you?
The laws have been very clear about responsibility of political parties and then the police in terms of elections. The NDC's resolve is that the IGP and the police team have a clear-cut responsibility. They are supposed to maintain order. They're supposed to make sure that we have violent-free elections. The NDC's strategy is to go into this election enforcing that it will be one man, one vote. If the police go and sit and allow people to come and misbehave, I can assure you that we will not fold our arms and throw our arms in despair. We know what exactly to do. We are willing and prepared to protect the democracy of this country. We will not allow hooligans to take away the mandate of the people. No president will emerge out of a fraudulent election in 2024 December. The NDC will obey, cooperate with the police service within their joint action jurisdictions, combining forces from military and other security agencies to ensure that we actually go into an election that is peaceful. Anything beyond that, we can meet with civil society organizations. When you do all of this and you don't stay by your responsibilities, then there's a problem. What we call infraction. It is a duty of the IGP to ensure that there are no security infractions. We know that characters like Brana Champo and some other individuals within the MPP are doing so much, including distribution of ammunition. We are tracking all of this. Those ammunitions will be returned back to the ground.
Excuse me, Mr. Agbande, distribution of ammunition. You have evidence to prove that the governing party with Brana Champo are distributing ammunition.
I haven't said the governing party. I said individuals.
Individuals. You have evidence that individuals are distributing ammunition.
If you want, you can call a conversation to that, and I'll give you the evidence.
No, I'm just asking you because you cannot just make a blatant.
I'm just telling you that. Look, the NDC will cooperate with the security agencies, but I can give you an unequivocal submission that we are not confused. We are very focused on what we are going to do. We expect a peaceful environment for the election. Any infraction from anybody will be combated, will be confronted, and will ensure that it does not lead to compromising the elections. I can assure you that one. It's the duty of the police to ensure that people do not wear fake, criminally produced uniforms of any kind within the services to, precipitate any violence in the election. If there will be violence, it will come from the people within government who believe that they can sew fake uniforms, arm individuals to go and perpetrate electoral violence. And so that is what the IGP should focus. As for civil society, they remain watchmen of all of us any day, any time. I just expect that the police will do their work well.
You expect that the police will do their work well. I just want to stay on this serious claim you made. Have you reported this to the police, that you're aware that individuals are distributing ammunition 18 days to the December 7 polls?
Well, were you not here when the police and the military clashed in Boku?
I'm just asking you. Have you?
You didn't know? Are you saying you didn't know?
I'm asking you, have you submitted the supposed evidence you have to the police?
It was a clash between the police, the military, and custom officers.
Mr. Agyemang, you're not answering my question. I'm just asking you. You say that you have evidence to prove that individuals are distributing ammunition 18 days to the December 7 general election. And I'm asking you, the evidence you said you have to this effect, have you submitted to the police?
Are you creating a room for me to come and give you the evidence? Or you are saying the police are not working with intelligence? I'm saying that all the ammunitions that were arrested in the Boku stretch, where are they? They've seen them. They should show us where those ammunitions are. Are you saying the police didn't know? Were you not in this country when those arms were moving? Are you saying that we don't know that a truck fully loaded with ammunition was arrested in the Boku area? Were they going to be used in killing antelopes?
So what you're saying is that it's because of that you're making that claim that you're aware individuals are distributing arms. It's based on that.
I've given you an example, and I'm saying that individuals within government, including the plan to sew criminal fake uniforms. And so I'm just saying it's the responsibility of the IGP and the police service to curtail issue of security infractions.
We'll have to verify some of these claims. But Mr. Bande, before you go though, you're asking the police to play its role well. What about you, the NDC? We've had a security consultant, for instance, Richard Kumado, writing an article asking political parties to do their work or discharge their responsibilities purposefully. How is the NDC going to do that going into this year's polls?
I can assure you that the NDC does not have any strategy to wreak or to cause violence in the election. But we are prepared to return any gesture that is extended to us. If that gesture is peaceful, we will extend a very peaceful gesture. If that gesture that will be extended to us is violent or criminal in nature, we will double it to ensure that the democracy of this country is protected. I can tell you that no one is going to take the NDC for granted again. We have been bruised twice. It won't happen the third time. And that we will force and ensure that the mandate and the will of the people will be what will manifest in the December election. Nobody within government, and let me tell the government that if there are plans to think that they can cause infractions to give them an advantage to rig an election, that is a lazy strategy and it will not manifest.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Mustafa Bande. He is Deputy General Secretary for the opposition NDC. So we started the conversation with Memphis Central and the fact that Peter Aka, who decided to go independent after he lost the primaries, has decided to come back to the fold. And Irama Smith is a woman in the Western region. She joins us live on the line. Irama, this must be a very critical area for the opposition NDC. Indeed, we just heard Mustafa Bande saying that it is a safe seat, as it were, for the NDC. What more can you tell us as regards the background to this constituency and really what the infighting meant for the opposition NDC?
Right, Beatrice, it is indeed a safe seat for the NDC, but the issues concerning Joanna Dunn almost put this in jeopardy. But what pertains there is this: Joanna Dunn has created employment for a lot of people in that constituency, so she's very powerful there. Now, we have one other person who went independent. That's Carl, that you remember. The General Mosquito was saying that it was a strategy of the NDC before Joanna was cleared and then she had to go back. If Mr. Anka had decided to still go ahead with it, he would have lost. So I believe that it was safer for him to get back into the fold of the NDC, especially when in that constituency it's so obvious that NDC will still hold power. So basically, that's it. When you go into that constituency, their primary source of occupation is small-scale mining. And Joanna has a firm that engages in small-scale mining. There are farmers, all right, but when you go into Yamenfi areas, the mineral-rich areas in the Western region, small-scale mining is the biggest source of employment for especially the youth. So it was safer for him to just withdraw. What I am hearing is he would have preferred if Joanna Gun's name or picture was not on the ballot paper. But if he appears, then it's better for him to just step aside. So that's basically what pertains there.
Yes, and we've heard, I'm just repeating it, we've heard the Deputy General Secretary telling us that it is a safe seat for the NDC. But what can you tell us about the people who are living in the area themselves? What are they saying? Why are they voting? On what basis, really? What are they looking into going into this year's general election, aside from the illegal mining issue you talked about?
Well, the people there, they are very excited that Joanna Gunn is back into the fold. And as I indicated earlier, it's a safe seat for the NDC. So it was just a matter of NDC presenting a candidate that they preferred. And Joanna is very generous to the people. She is extremely generous. So she's very popular in that constituency. So you can imagine now that she is on the ballot paper, how things will go. But now when you go into the constituency, they are just happy. It's like a done deal for Joanna. And they are just waiting to give her the nod. That's basically it. There are people who also engage in farming, but most of them are into mining. So for now, everything is just set for the NDC there.
Thank you very much, Irama Smith. And Irama Smith is our correspondent in the Western region. And from the campaign trail, let's bring you some legal issues. And the Supreme Court has set December 18, 2024 to deliver judgment on the two lawsuits against the passage of the Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, also known as the Anti-Gay Bill. Baucus journalist Richard Delasky and a researcher with the University of Cape Coast, Dr. Amando Doy, are challenging the processes and the passage of the bill passed by Parliament. The two plaintiffs in their separate action are seeking the intervention of the Apex Court to examine how lawful the bill passed on February 2024 stands the test of the law. Earlier today, a panel of 7 presided over by Chief Justice Avril Lovelace Johnson adopted all the issues filed and the parties' respective statements of cases. Meanwhile, Parliament risks restarting processes to pass the Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill again should the President fail to assent to the passed bill. Let me bring you a bit of a background or a quick look at the stages the bill has gone through and where it is currently. In February 2024, Parliament passed the anti-LGBTQI bill, awaiting presidential assent. March 2024, the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, said that he will not assent to the bill until the determination of suits at the Supreme Court. Same in March, Richard Delasky filed a second application against the LGBTQI bill, seeking injunction of Parliament. In May 2024, the Supreme Court heard the injunction application against the anti-LGBTQ bill. In July 2024, the Supreme Court deferred ruling on the injunction to hear the substantive case. And as you recall, in October, which is last month, proponents of the anti-LGBTQ bill staged a protest over delays in passing the bill. Shortly after that, the Judicial Service absolved itself of blame, saying the parties have failed to fire processes. Now we know that the court will deliver a judgment on the 18th of December 2024, and we'll shortly be speaking to one of the people who are asking for this bill to be assented to so it becomes law as soon as practicable. And still on the courts, the New Patriotic Party Constitutional and Legal Committee Chairman Frank Davis has dismissed calls for an electronic mode of selection for empaneling judges. His comments come at a time a former Justice of the Supreme Court, William Atuguba, is condemning the empaneling of some Supreme Court justices on high-profile cases. Our court correspondent, Lord Odwasari, has details.
A retired Supreme Court judge, Justice William Atuguba, on Saturday heavily criticized the empaneling of judges at the Apex Court following its decision in the parliamentary vacant seat suit. He questioned the motive behind the selection by the Chief Justice and noted that politicization of the courts had surged under the current administration.
Look even at the empanelment. People has referred to all those. I mean, for what reason will you bring the younger justices to handle such a weighty matter to the exclusion of the seniors? What reason? I mean, this reason, sir.
Director of Legal of the National Democratic Congress, Godwin Eduji Tamaklo, pleaded with the Chief Justice to deploy an electronic selection process.
Would she have the courage to trigger an electronic empaneling of the judges? Because an electronic empaneling of the judges would definitely ensure that you have a perfect blend. Because if it's an electronic system, you build the algorithm in such a way that it takes cognizance of the different shade of justices on the bench.
In a quick rebuttal, however, New Patriotic Party Constitutional and Legal Committee Chairman Frank Davis indicated that any such move will be counterproductive.
You want a computerized empaneling of judges, computerized, electronic. And you think that cannot be fidgeted with? When we have justices in the Supreme Court who have gone through constitutional vetting and have won the approval of an appointments committee in the House of Parliament or the Chamber of Parliament. I mean, what again do we want? And then at the end of the day, without their integrity and their fidelity to the law and to the Constitution, no. I honestly don't think it's fair.
He urged the populace to continue to trust in the judiciary and desist from bastardizing the arm of government, which has consistently served Ghana's democracy effectively. Lord Idwasari.
Lord Idwasari found that report for us. You're still here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Coming up shortly is business news with Michael Ogbudu. Don't go away.
And hello there, good evening and welcome to the business segment here on Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, government urged to invest into petroleum storage facilities to take advantage of likely excess supply in 2025. I am Michael Ogbudu. Details coming up shortly. Please stay. Well, thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story, as experts are urging the government to invest in petroleum storage facilities to capitalize on the anticipated excess oil supply in 2025. According to energy strategist Dr. Isif Sulemana, this strategic move would enable Ghana to offset losses resulting from low prices for the country's oil exports. The anticipated surplus stems from the United States' projected increase in oil supply following Trump's victory, compounded by low demand from China, the world's largest consumer.
Consistently for the last 6 months, from September up to now, from the middle of the year up to now, the manufacturing data emanating from China on a monthly basis is not something impressive. So if China demand is low and it continuously depressed as it is now, and we have enhanced production from US.
Lower demand for crude oil from China continues to impact the global market.
China demand is also depressed consistently for the last 6 months, from September up to now. From the middle of the year up to now, the manufacturing data emanating from China on a monthly basis is not something impressive. So if China demand is low and continuously depressed as it is now, and we have enhanced production from US, then definitely we're going to have the market caving in. Yes, we have to strategically place ourselves. If you had storage capacity, we could have stored a lot. And that's how I think US is going to benefit, because they have a huge storage capacity and they will likely refuel their SPR going forward. So it's a mixed bag. Upstream, we're going to struggle a little bit, and the potential also to have depressed investment, especially if the prices are down for elongated period of time. But the downstream side will be benefits because pump prices may be manageable, especially if the FX remains favorable or becomes favorable going forward to 2025.
That was energy strategist Dr. Isif Sulemana speaking there. Meanwhile, the continued depreciation of the Ghana cedi has prevented petroleum consumers from benefiting from the increased significant price reductions at the pumps. According to the Institute of Energy Security, IES, the first pricing window of November 2024 has been relatively stable, with international fuel markets seeing a decrease in the price of liquid petroleum products. The following 3 Business News Desk report has more. Lower demand for crude oil from China continues to impact the global market. At the start of the last quarter of 2024, the projected demand for crude oil showed signs of weakening. Brent crude has consistently traded within the $70 per barrel range during the first pricing window of November. On the other hand, the Ghana cedi traded at 16 cedis 41 pesos after previously trading at 16 cedis 17 pesos at the beginning of the first pricing window for November 2024, depreciating by about 1.48% in value against the US dollar. Given the combined effects of price changes on the global fuel market and the depreciation of the cedi, the Institute for Energy Security's IES predicts the second pricing window of November is expected to bring mixed reactions in the local fuel market, with a decrease in the prices of petrol and LPG, while the price of diesel is expected to remain. That was a 3 Business News Desk report. Away from that, Executive Chairman of LVS Africa, Dr. Alhassan Andani, has urged organizations' boards to support internal auditors in maintaining organizational integrity. Speaking at the Institute of Internal Auditors Ghana 2024 Board CEO Governance Workshop in Accra, Dr. Andani emphasized the importance of empowering internal auditors to ensure independence and accountability throughout the organization.
The internal audit function, it's that framework that actually is supposed to be the custodian, the conscience of the organization, and the custodian of the integrity of the organization. And of course, the internal audit is supposed to uphold what good looks like. Good looks like has been determined by shareholders, board, and management, and set it out in the framework. So the internal audit function is supposed to ensure that the company is holding to what good looks like. And at the end of the day, the custodians of that is the board. So the board must ensure that internal audit is not an appendage, but central to the operations of the company or the firm or the organization. And therefore, boards must provide full support. Indeed, for a very long time, heads of internal audits have been don't report to CEO. They report to chairman of the internal audit committee, so that they can have that independence to be able to hold everybody within the organization.
And that was Executive Chairman of LVS Africa, Dr. Andani, Alhassan Andani, bringing an end to Business Day, the business segment here on Hot Edition. For more business stories, please check out our website, s3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe. Up next to sports.
the most comprehensive election coverage.
Top-notch presenters and well-versed analysts.
Dedicated reporters and correspondents in every nook and cranny across the country.
All the action, every incident reported.
All the big stories covered.
All facts cross-checked. Every figure verified.
Every vote monitored and accounted for.
The numbers tallied, analyzed, and interpreted.
We have invested time and energy in order to bring you a comprehensive elections coverage.
The whole world will be watching us on TV, online, and radio.
Election Command Center. Facts, analysis, results.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Oreku Ampofo, and we still stay with the Black Stars because former Ghana international Lai Kinson believes that the Black Stars coach Otto Addo deserves more time to turn the team's fortunes around despite failing to qualify for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. Addo was reappointed in March 2024, taking over from Chris Hughton on a permanent basis with a 3-year contract that includes an option for 2 more years. However, after 8 months in charge, pressure is mounting on the 49-year-old coach who has overseen Ghana's worst ever AFCON qualifying campaign, failing to secure a single victory in the qualifiers. The 4-time AFCON champions finished bottom of Group F, which included Sudan, Angola, and Niger.
For me, at the moment, we shouldn't change anything at the moment. You know, for me, I think Otto is even disappointed in himself, and I believe by now he's trying to ask himself questions about what really happened and what I can do to improve it, what I can do to make sure I bring results to the team. You know, so for me, if we go now and change the coach or the technical team and bring new faces, it will be a disaster. I think we should allow him to at least finish the World Cup qualifiers, and then after that, we make decision as a country.
Still stay with the national team, where despite all of the intense criticism that has come in the past 24 hours, Black Stars team manager Aminu Shado believes the team's performance tell a different story as opposed to the results that they experienced at the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. In the aftermath of Ghana's 2-1 defeat to Niger, which sealed their failure to qualify for the tournament, Shado maintained that the team's performances, especially their 1-0 defeat against Angola, were better than the final outcomes suggested.
Results results have not been forthcoming. But if you look at the performance of the team in most of the games, we performed better than the results that we got. If we are going to be honest and be factual to happenings. I mean, first game against Angola, did anything suggest to you say it was a loose game, Nana? When you pipe down the emotion, now we'll come more deeper and look at that, analyze the games, just the games. If the performance of the team in the games all the games that we played is anything to go by, like I was a topic group, by performance, unless you want to be blind to the facts.
So that was team manager of the Black Stars, Aminu Shado, speaking on Happy FM earlier today. My name is Oreku Ampofo, and if you're after some more sports stories, you can follow us on social media at 3SportsGH on X, Facebook, and then Instagram. You can also check out our YouTube for more long-form content, interviews, features, and then also stories that do come in long form on our YouTube at 3SportsGH. That's how we're wrapping up the sports here on Hot Edition. The news continues right after this.
Sports, where voices matter, where every corner, every street, every community is a platform.
A big bus moving through Accra, carrying conversations, questions, and the pulse of the nation. This is not just another show, it's your voice on the move.
Join us as 3FM Sunrise hits the road, turning ordinary streets into platforms for extraordinary dialogue. Speak freely, listen deeply, and help shape the conversation that drives Ghana forward.
Look out for the bus and tune in exclusively on 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio.
Hey, ready to make your drive home epic? It's the 3FM Drive with the one and only Giovanni Killen right here on 3FM 92.7. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. We're transforming your commute into a top-tier experience. Need a pick-me-up? Our music belt is pure energy, pure vibes. Stay ahead with the Drive Sports, bringing you the latest scores and highlights. Curious about the stars? We've got all the hottest trends, celebrity profile interviews, plus DJ faculty has got you.
Ready? Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays on 3FM Drive. You know where it's at.
This is where the action is at, live on the 3FM Drive on 3FM 92.7. Welcome to the 3FM Drive. That's right!
The most comprehensive election coverage.
Top-notch presenters and well-versed analysts.
Dedicated reporters and correspondents in every nook and cranny across the country.
All the action, every incident reported. All the big stories covered.
All facts cross-checked. Every figure verified.
Every vote monitored and accounted for.
The numbers tallied, analyzed, and interpreted.
We have invested time and energy in order to bring you a comprehensive elections coverage.
The whole world will be watching us on TV, online, and radio.
Election Command Center. Facts, analysis, results.
And you're still here on Hot Edition on Sri FM and 92.7. Thank you very much for bringing us a business and sports, Michael, and your guests and team. Some more here on Hot Edition, and renowned lawyer Chachi Chikota says the Supreme Court's judgment on the 4 MP saga was inconclusive and inconsistent. The comment comes as the MPP majority in Parliament expresses joy over the judgment, asking the Speaker to, as it were, reinstate the 4 MPs he said were ineligible to be in Parliament. The Speaker, Alban Bagwin, made the statement after the said MPs filed to contest as independents on the ticket of a political party. He argued that they crossed carpet. Expressing his views on Agenda on TV3 with me last night, Mr. Chikata highlighted inconsistencies in the judgment compared to previous decisions.
there are inconsistencies between what has been said in previous decisions and the reference to that particular Judge Chikwesin decision. But my point is that at the end of all of that back and forth, citing cases and so on, no directions were given about whether the seats of those four have been vacated or not. In fact, what they seem to be saying is that that is a matter which has to be determined as a matter of fact in the High Court. That's my reading of the judgment, that it has to be determined in the High Court. In a sense, we're back to square one.
In a sense, we're back to square one, he said, but a legal expert with the governing MPP and former First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Freddie Blay, says the court's judgment is practical.
Definitely not. I don't believe that we're back to square one. From my understanding of the judgment that I've had time this afternoon to go through, and confirms what some of us have all this while have held on to, saying that the Right Honourable Speaker's position on the matter was wrong. Essentially, it was from the long statement that he read, which Chachu has referred to as the formal statement that communication. He made it clear. Of course, he spoke about the reason for standing firm against cross-carpeting and went about it in a way. But the issue was he was interpreting 97G, 97H. Essentially, that's what he was doing. And by that interpretation, he made it clear that those who have picked nomination form and maybe filed and the polls maybe coming out is taking judicial notice of their taking those steps. And he was therefore reacting to what the minority leader had drawn his attention. And he went ahead to say that definitely are no more members of parliament. And that's the central point. And that's why Markins went to court for interpretation. I think after going back and forth with him, saying that let's see what we can do and have to. We've been remaining only about 2 months or 3 months. But of course, they did not disagree. They took a different position. And then Markins also took a different position. And as I said, as I sit here, maybe I've taken a different position for my lecturer, Tachu Chikata. Definitely, I disagree that interpretation is like that. When you say you are leaving, you will leave. You are leaving and you've left. Interpretation are a bit different.
We'll go to the interpretation bit.
Yeah, but let's be clear.
Yes. And you had that interaction between Chachi Chikata and Freddie Blay, who is former First Deputy Speaker of Parliament and also a lawyer with the governing New Patriotic Party. The Ghana Education Trust Fund, GET Fund, has denied claims that it has abandoned projects started by the Eswell National Democratic Congress administration. In response to the claims, the Secretariat says that it has completed some 3,700 projects across the various levels of education since 2017. Speaking to journalists on the sidelines of the 2024 National Education Week, the head of PR at GET Fund, Isaac Esiedo-Doi, said the claims by the NDC cannot be true.
We have completed 3,700 projects from KG, primary, GHS, SHS, and tertiary. We have supplied over 2,700 vehicles, including buses, to the secondary schools, buses to the tertiary schools, pickups to all district directors of education. Regional directors had Pajaros, that is the Prado, Toyota Prado. They had 16 of them. Motorbikes, 1,500. And a host of other agencies under the ministry also had these pickups to support the management and the supervision of schools. 203, as I just mentioned, we have completed 3,077 projects over the years. Imagine, many of these were even inherited projects. We inherited over 3,800 projects in 2017. More of these projects have been completed as we speak. And the issue of school and we started many years back. Now, if you check the projects that we have completed, the 3,077, 60% of them were projects we inherited. So it cannot be accurate, it cannot be true that we have abandoned the project. Even the new ones that we started, just about 1,200 of them have been completed. So more of the legacy projects, as we call it, have been completed. So it can never be true by the successes that we have at the GET Fund that the old projects have been abandoned. No.
Now, the 2024 National Education Week was launched on Monday to enable stakeholders to evaluate the country's progress in education, share best practices, and chart the path for the future. And some more election-related issues. And during the 2020 election, fake news and misinformation contributed to unrest, with at least 8 deaths linked to political violence. This year, technology and political experts are concerned that AI cloning technologies could worsen the situation. The governance think tank Open Foundation West Africa at a media training warned journalists to avoid publishing false information. Here's the executive director for the Open Foundation West Africa, Jael Sewa Boating.
So what we have realized is that even before this training today, our attention was drawn to the president's Wikipedia page, where we realized that people were adding false information to his Wikipedia page. And it's all because they had sources out there. The media was publishing false information about the president. And so people from the opposition party also picked it up and then posted those false information on Wikipedia. So what we are seeking to do is that these things would be avoided as much as possible, that we reduce the rate at which false information is presented to us, so that the information we also present on Wikipedia will be accurate and reliable for all to read.
And you heard the executive director for the Open Foundation West Africa, Jael Sewa Boating. Now, Ghana has in recent times recorded cases of cholera in 4 regions. Between October and November, 9 individuals, 2 in the Greater Accra and 7 in the Central region, have died from the disease. Though no case has been recorded in the Ashanti, the Regional Health Directorate has intensified surveillance and public education to stop transmission and prevent avoidable deaths. Ibrahim Abubakar is a man in that part of the country. He joins us live on the line. Ibrahim, if you can tell us really the specific measures that have been put in place by the Regional Health Directorate to effectively, as it were, manage cholera should that region get a case.
Well, Beatrice, for the Regional Health Directorate, they have designated a facility in almost all the districts so that persons who come there presenting signs and symptoms of cholera will be sent there. Now, they want to avoid the potential patients being moving from one facility to the other for treatment. They think that when that happens, it means the person may be spreading the virus. Like you said, even though Ashanti region has not recorded any outbreak, they are just putting these measures in place so that in an event we record it, it will be detected early and managed well. And now they are also engaging with chemical sellers and pharmacists to be worried of some of these symptoms, that people who will be reporting on cases of diarrhea or other symptoms related to cholera, and they should rather refer the person to a health facility for proper checkup, rather than prescribing any medicine for the person. So for now, all that they are doing is to intensify the campaign, because for the Regional Health Directorate, they believe that cholera is one of the diseases that can easily be prevented from spreading from one person or another. But then when you contract it, the likelihood of dying too is there if not detected early. So they are putting all these measures in place, because just recently, Central Region had recorded 7 deaths, Greater Accra 2 deaths. So these are measures they are putting in place. In an event we record it, there wouldn't be any fatality associated with the cholera cases.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Abubakar. He's a man in the Ashanti region, giving us updates as regards what the Regional Health Directorate is doing to prevent cholera from the region. And earlier, I was telling you the story about the Supreme Court delivering its judgment on the anti-LGBTQ bill suit, as it were, before it on the 18th of December. One of the people or proponents of the bill, Sam George, who is also the Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram Pram, has been reacting to this. He joins us live on the line. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening, Beatrice. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and good evening to your listeners.
You seem disappointed because I've seen a statement on your X page where you say that clearly the Supreme Court, led by the Chief Justice, will do everything in their power to protect their demigod at Nana Akufo-Addo from signing the Family Values Bill. Are you able to tell us why you reacted with these words?
Well, it's been clear from the get-go that President Akufo-Addo is pro-LGBTQ and supports homosexuality, despite his many comments to the contrary. But it's clear by his actions. Actions, they say, speak louder than words. When Kamala Harris came to Ghana and confronted him about the bill, he disowned the bill, claimed that he knew nothing about it, and that was a private member's bill. When Parliament signed the bill into law and sent it to him, he caused his executive secretary to write to us to keep it away from him. President Akufo-Addo cannot take a stance against homosexuality because he's pro it. His government has received support from the LGBTQ cabal, and we've been hoping against hope that for once in President Akufo-Addo's presidency, he will show some modicum of Ghanaian loyalty and fidelity to the Ghanaian people, and not his Western paymasters. But the president has clearly co-opted the judiciary, led by the Chief Justice, to use every arsenal at their disposal not to sign the bill. And so you have a Chief Justice actively acting as a cog in the wheel of justice, actively obstructing justice. The Chief Justice, who is supposed to be a preacher in church and preaches from the Bible, today is finding every way and means to prevent the bill from getting to President Akufo-Addo. It's shameful, it's disgraceful, and it's distasteful that such actions will be said to be happening in our apex court. And that's why last Saturday, Justice Atuguba, a revered retired justice of the Supreme Court, made the comment that what is going on in our Supreme Court today is not law, but politics. And the time for us to purge the judiciary of the challenges that have made the Ghanaian people lose faith in the judiciary. The judiciary is seen as very corrupt, and this kind of actions lend credence to the fact that justice is no longer delivered under the current Chief Justice.
So essentially what you're saying is that the seeming delay, for which reason you went on that protest, and the decision to even give a judgment on the cases before the court are just indicative that indeed this whole thing was orchestrated to ensure the president is out of office before they even give the judgment on it.
Akufo-Addo and Beatrice, the president and the CJ, and the Attorney General, Godfrey Dame, are in cahoots to ensure that this never gets before President Akufo-Addo. Wait and see December 18th. After the NPP has lost the election, wait and see the action of Beatrice in the Supreme Court in approving or dismissing the case, and then waiting for the next president. But I'm not worried, because President Mahama will sign that bill. He's committed to it. He's pledged to it. He will sign the bill. But you see, history and our children and our grandchildren will know that we had a president who was pro-LGBTQ, anti-Ghanaian family values, and we had a pliant Chief Justice who, despite her claims of Christianity, is so subservient to pleasing the whims and caprices of a president who has lost his moral compass. It is shameful that a man over 80 years will not leave a single legacy that our children can be proud of.
He said he has a free senior high school, which has ensured that millions of Ghanaian children have been educated, at least to that level.
A free senior high school where they are serving our children expired rice, contaminated rice.
The Education Ministry has rejected that claim. We had the PRO speaking to the media saying that the rice given to students are not rotting.
The rice given to children are what?
Are not rotting.
And you believe them?
I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you that the Education Ministry has responded.
Evidence. It is the same Education Ministry that is just passing children so that they can say free SHS is working. The free SHS where parents are having to pay for extra classes. The free SHS that Ghanaian parents are calling on President Mahama to come and fix by completing his e-blocks, come and fix by including private secondary schools, to come and fix by holding a national conference on the way forward for a proper free senior high school, come and fix by decentralizing the feeding so that the criminal cabal sitting in Accra, buying food and doing the distribution and taking kickbacks, we will break that cabal and let the heads of schools buy the food, decentralize it. But criminals sitting in Accra are buying contaminated food and sending to our children.
Let's return to the anti-LGBTQI bill. Obviously, you're disappointed that this has delayed, and now Supreme Court is saying that judgment will be given on it on the 18th of December. What would you say to those who would say that it's better late than never?
Oh, look, the Chief Justice can do what she likes. She can do whatever she likes. But on the 7th of January, there will be a change in government. And with a change in government will come a proper audit of all the arms of government. And so those who think they stand should take heed lest they fall. But people will answer an account for their public stewardship. So she can do whatever she wishes and whatever she pleases. But there will be a change in government very soon.
Mr. George,
and the wheels of justice that she's obstructing today will begin to grind. And they will surely get to their destination.
Mr. George, before you go, in the event the 8th Parliament doesn't get the opportunity to get this bill through, will you have to start the process all over again? That's the concern people are raising. Is that what it is?
Absolutely not. What happens is if a bill has not gone through all of the processes in Parliament, and that Parliament ends, the whole process starts again. That's not the case with the Family Values Bill. The Family Values Bill has been read a third time and duly passed by Parliament. So there is nothing before Parliament to consider again. So the bill is going to just proceed to the next president of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And he being a true Christian, a member of the Assemblies of God Church, he being a father, a responsible father of 4 boys and a girl, would not act in the manner that the Chief Justice, who is supposed to be a Christian and a mother, is acting. He will act with fidelity to his faith, fidelity to his children's legacy, and fidelity to the cultural norms and values of Ghana. President Mahama is no Western puppet.
Mr. George, thank you very much for speaking to us on Hot Edition on Shuri FM 92.7.
Pleasure is mine.
And you heard there Sam George. He is a member of Parliament for Ningo Pram expressing his strong views, obviously, about the decision of the Supreme Court to give its judgment on the cases before it against the anti-LGBTQ bill in Parliament. And that's it for Hot Edition on Shuri FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice. Thank you so much for joining us today. Log on to srinews.com for more news. Have a good evening and do enjoy the rest of our programs.